with Bitcoin, we do have some centralization issues, and I'd like to talk about that a little bit. I'm still a fan of Bitcoin, but we do have some centralization issues with it now. And this is something I'm going to ask John McAfee at the top of the hour if he has concerns about this, because I know he's been kind of bashing Bitcoin himself.
And
So
it's not even really bashing Bitcoin. It's more like realizing that there were some flaws with the initial concept, that there were some really good ideas there, but at the same time, there were some flaws. And to just, if we could get rid of those, then we're in a better place. And
yeah,
that's kind of what Qortal was about. Yeah.
sure. Bear, do you have any questions as of right now? Is this kind of making sense? I know you're a really bright person. I know you're not so as deep into the blockchain, but I'm hoping, for you, this is all making sense.
My issue now is, okay, I already missed a boat? Can somebody like me still get in? Is this really the
Yes.
way things are going? And those are the questions. I just need more information to know how to do it intelligently.
Right.
Um,
So if I
yeah,
can
go
interject
ahead.
just for 1 second, like
Sure.
that's another thing that when we were building Qortal, we were thinking about, right? Because there can't really be a feeling of, oh, I missed the boat if you didn't get in early. That really can't be that much of a thing, right? So with Qortal, what we've done is we've eliminated the total cap on the coins, so that there is, instead of a cap, there's a cap on how many new coins will be created each whatever period, right? Because there's no time on the blockchain; it's all in blocks. So however many blocks that represent a year, you can then adjust the rate at which the new coins are created. So there's no like fear that you're not going to be able to get any if you become a minter on the network and help secure the network. Then you will always be able to earn something, and there will always be new coins coming in that people can then spend on the various services on the network and so forth. So I wanted to get rid of the idea that you have to get in early, and I like the idea of a cap for certain types of assets. Like Bitcoin will become basically digital gold, and that's fine, because if there's a limited amount, then it's going to have more intrinsic value, and people are going to, it's going to mess with people's heads, and it's going to, make the value go up higher, and there's more money going in, the value has to go up higher. So it makes sense for an asset like that where you're going to be holding on to it. But for an asset like Qortal, where you're going to be using it all the time to run services, and it's necessary for these services, it doesn't make sense to me to then limit how many coins will be created. There should always be new ones coming in to make those services always be used.
What we're talking about is deflationary versus inflationary in a way, right? So Bitcoin is capped at 21 million coins. And so what that does is it really defines the value, as if in an idea, if there was like a certain amount of gold on the planet, which there is. And so that's that idea of a way to have a value metric that is deflationary, so that it becomes more and more valuable. Whereas, so you're not going to want to spend it because you want to hold on to it. And that's not really great for a currency. And that's one reason why I say I don't really see Bitcoin as a currency, to be honest.
No, that's why I just say it's a value store. It's a place where you can hold your money like gold.
Yeah. And that is part of being a currency. There's three aspects to being a currency. It needs to be a mode of transaction. It needs to be a unit of value or unit of measurement. And it needs to be a store of value, I guess, according to the, if you go to economics school.
Right.
But for me, it's like, what is a currency in the modern era? And for me, the currency in the modern era needs to be fast. It needs to be, in a way, it needs to be able to be spent, in other words, in a way, I almost like an inflationary idea, because and I hate to give a little bit of credence to the Keynesians out there, but they do have a good point in terms of the idea of wanting to spend money. Now, I don't think you need to do that with debt. I think you do that with abundance. And so the idea with Qortal, what I love about Qortal is that if you just come in, and we'll give a quick explanation of what Qortal is in a second. But if you come in and support the network by running a node, you can then, over time, as you prove yourself, start what we call minting and literally earning coin that's an equal share across the entire network. So you're not competing like Bitcoin to grab those
Well, it's
coins.
equal shares in each level tier.
Each level. Yeah.
So as you level up, you also earn more because you've proven yourself for a longer period of time. So it starts out at a 5% that's split between levels 1 and level 2. Then level 3 and level 4, you get put into a new reward tier, and that is 10% that's split between all the level 3 and level 4 people. And of course, as you level up, the time it takes to level up also increases, which time on the blockchain, as we discussed, is in blocks. So however many blocks you're proving yourself online, you're a legitimate node, you're not trying to do anything stupid, you prove yourself, you get counted as online. And so those blocks continue to tick up as you're online. And as that goes by, your level increases, your influence increases, your reward increases, and the amount of blocks that you actually secure into the network, which doesn't matter for reward in our case, which it does in Bitcoin, but it doesn't here, that also increases. So the security of the network is driven by the people who have proven themselves legitimate for a longer period of time. And in the beginning, it matters more that the founders, the people who start the platform, obviously don't have negative intent for it, are the ones who secure more blocks into the chain. So in the beginning, the founders are weighted at as if they were level 10 as far as finding blocks. So the founders will find more blocks than more people, but it doesn't matter as far as reward goes. So the people shouldn't care who finds the block. That's only for security of the chain. So we've separated those two things as well in our platform, where Bitcoin has kept them together, right?
We see that there's a centralization issue. The other centralization issue, Baron, is something I think you'll understand, is that the way to get into Bitcoin, there's, nobody is really mining these days unless you're joining in a pool. It's difficult. So traditionally, to get Bitcoin, you would mine it. But now to get it, you kind of have to port into it via, taking your money, or if you're able to sell products for Bitcoin, that's an amazing way to do it. We try to do that on alfavedic.com. You can actually buy anything with Bitcoin on our website. It's very rarely happens, unfortunately. We also accept other coins. But the other way, of course, is taking your fiat, your US, your pounds or whatever, your euro, and then buying Bitcoin with that through a centralized agency. And the problem with that is now the big, point of that is that there was centralized exchanges were created. This was after the Mt. Gox issue, where that was hacked and there was like hundreds of millions of dollars stolen in Bitcoin. So more centralized agencies came on board. They got more regulated, and now we have like Coinbase, which
So
is
the
basically,
problem lies in, okay, so now we have a decentralized currency, but the problem lies in getting people to actually switch to it, right? So during that transition period where people are switching from using a centralized currency to using a decentralized one, there will have to be gateways that are
yep.
centralized, because the only way you can get to the centralized currency is through a centralized gateway. So those are a necessary evil, but they should be temporary, and they should not have gotten to the point that they're at now.
Well, we tried to solve this with Karmaship and Qortal, and the idea is create a new infrastructure, a new ecosystem that doesn't require cash or require fiat. That we create a new economy through, like with Karmaship experience and human energy, with Qortal running a node, proving yourself. The idea is,
and there will be other methods too that we will add in the future, where you'll be able to have another type of input that is then valued to the network, and you will get a level from that as well. I'm calling it leveling enabled account types, which right now is minting.
Yeah.
There will be more in the future. So for people like, I don't want to run a computer, I don't want to run a node, fine, there will be other ways for you to level up in the future. But we're still 25 days into the launch, so
Yeah.
gotta give it a little bit of time.
So I bring up the centralized exchanges because what we've seen with Bitcoin is it's literally become completely manipulated by the trading apparatuses that are, not to call anyone out, but I mean, like the Binances, Bitfinexes, especially with the idea of tethering, the Tether coin. We've seen it turn
And
into—
that was used for a huge manipulation not too long ago too.
Exactly. And so what the problem with this is, it's really taken out the whole decentralized P2P idea of the store of value, and it turned it in just to another stock or into another market. That is what we're literally seeing happening in the mainstream, where banks are literally buying into the market. So they're buying foreign stocks. Like the Swiss franc is now basically Amazon and Google. And the problem with that is it's creating a massive inflationary bubble that is going to lead to collapse. It's all a facade. It's all a big Ponzi scheme. And a lot of that's happened to Bitcoin now, where it's basically become a derivative. And so this is why with Qortal, why this is so important. This is a good segue. Qortal is the foundation behind it, besides the minting, which, and really quick on the mining issue with Bitcoin, it's taking a ton of energy now. I think Bitcoin mining is responsible for the most energy consumption in the world now. So if you extrapolate that out, and even if we do have massive innovations in free energy, which could really change the game there, that's a serious issue right now. So the idea with minting is that we've taken it back to just allowing people on their computers to run the network.